This is my first crochet video and I'm so excited because this is something that was as seen on TV. My friend from work asked me if I could make this particular shirt for her. She saw it, I think it was last season on The Voice. Niall was wearing it. He was a coach. She watched it and she asked me if I could make it, but just kind of adjust the colors a little bit for her sorority colors. Okay? So it's very much like the one that he wore. You can barely see it with the light, but very, very light colors. It turned out kind of even better than I thought it would, and just from trial and error. And this is the first thing that I've crocheted where I've kind of come up with the pattern myself. This is probably about a size large. If you wanted to make this bigger, you could just add more granny squares or make the granny squares a little bit bigger. Now let's make the shirt. Okay, you're gonna need to make 53 of these, and then you'll need to make 4 of the half ones. Now, so far as how much yarn to use, we're going to call the pink color A. And I use this Bernat Baby Sport. Okay. And then I used a size 3 millimeter hook. So for that color, for color A, I used 890 yards. For the white, which is color B, I used 377 yards. And then in the green color, which I'm calling color C, I used the baby B. And then in this one, I used a little bit under 1 skein, and that comes up to a total of 300 yards for that color. So that's how much yarn I used for the size that I use. Now, obviously, if you use different type of yarn, different size yarn, different hook, depending on your tension, will be dependent upon how much you use. But that's just how much I used for this one. So we're going to get started on our granny square. And we're going to do a slip knot. And then we're going to chain 4. If you want to do a magic circle, you can. But I like doing my granny squares like this. We're going to slip stitch in that first chain. And then we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, and that'll count as our first double crochet. Okay, so if you notice in this space right here, that's where we're going to put the rest of our stitches, our double crochet. So we're going to do 2 double crochet. And we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do 3 double crochet, and if you notice, I am crocheting over this tail right here. Okay, chain 2, and again we are going to do 3 more double crochets. Chain 2. Then we're going to do our last side with 3 more double crochets. And then we're going to chain 2. And then to finish off, you're going to find the top of this chain 3 right here. We're going to slip stitch into that. Just like that. And then we're going to fasten off. And just do another chain. And then I'm going to cut my yarn and pull it through. Just like that. Now if you want to, you can tighten this up from the back. Just gently pull on that and then it'll tighten up and close up that little hole right there. Okay, so from this point I'm going to get my tail back over here to the corner. So whenever I put my next color on, I can tie it over that. So we're going to go up this way, back through this stitch, and then now it's back here by this corner. Okay, from here we are going to change colors. And we're going to use the white. I'm going to get it through here. Okay, and then I'm going to tie this. So if you notice, this tail is right here. So I'm actually going to tie a knot over it. And this is to make sure that it is extra secure, since this is something that will be washed. Okay, just like that. All right. And then from here, we're going to do a slip stitch to secure it and do our chains. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do our corners. So we're going to do 2 more double crochet. And notice I am again crocheting over the tails right here. Okay, chain 2 and 2 more double crochet. Excuse me, 3 more double crochet. Okay, then we're going to go to our next corner, and you can still carry the tails back if you would like, or you can drop them at this point. It's just up to you. I'm going to drop them. Okay, so I'm going to do another corner, so 3 double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochet. Okay. And so you can do this all the way around until you get to our starting chain, and I'll meet you back there. I'm back to my starting chain, and so from here I'm just going to slip stitch into that top of that chain 3. Okay. We're going to change colors, so again we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to just get that over there. Okay, now. All right, from here I'm going to go back to the pink. I'm going to tie this over the tail. And I do double knot it. You can triple knot it if you want, if you think that will be more secure. And then we're just going to do the exact same thing in the corner. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 2 double crochet. Chain 2. And then 3 double crochet for our corner. Just like that. And I'm not going to do any chains, but we have a space right here, so we're just going to do 3 double crochet in the side spaces. And then I just go straight into my corner and the same thing. 3 double crochet followed by 2 chains and then another 3 double crochets for our corners. So you're going to do each side the same way. Whenever you get to the end of this round, I'll meet back up with you at that point. We're to the end, so just like the last round, we're going to find the top of that chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch in there. And then we'll fasten off to go to the next color. Now let's get our green. And again, we're just going to do the same thing. So the great thing about granny squares is that it's just repeating over and over again. All right, once we get this on, we're going to do the exact same thing that we've done with all of the rounds. Is we're going to start off with the chain 3. That counts as our first double crochet. And then do 2 more double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Now we're going to have 2 side spaces, so that's where you'll just do the 3 double crochet. And so just keep going just like we have been, and then I'll meet you at the end of this round. Okay, so now that we're at the end of our round, we're just going to do the same thing with the slip stitch. And fasten off. All right, we're going to do the same thing as we've been doing with the tail, and then we're going to do our last round. So I'm going to go back to the pink and just do the exact same thing, and this will be the last one. So you'll do the corners the exact same way. Make sure you do the side spaces the exact same way, and you'll have 3 of them now. Then once you get back to the end, I'll show you what to do with all of these ends. So to finish off, we're just going to do what we've been doing. Do a slip stitch in the top of your chain 3. And then fasten it off. Okay, so once you are done, your square should measure about 4.5 inches, or about 11.5 centimeters. Now we need to weave in all these ends in the back. So most of these are knotted, but we still want to kind of weave them in. Again, this is going to be washed, so you want to make sure that it is done well. So I like to use one of these as a little bit of a curve on it. I need one that's probably a little bit shorter. Okay. All right, so for the center one, I'm going to go the opposite way. Once, just about that far through. Just like that. And I'm just going to go back the other way. Again, since this is already tied off and it's not a magic circle, I'm just going to do it twice. And I'm going to cut off that end. And I'm going to do the same with all of these. So for these, instead of doing each one separately here, I like to just try to do it all together because I hate weaving in ends. I love everything about crocheting except for this. Okay, then I'm just going to do that. Just go back the opposite way. Just get that in there. And on these, since they're already tied, I'm just going to do those one time. Okay. So I'm just going to do that with the rest of these ends. And then I'll show you how to do the last one. This last one, since we don't have any of the corners to kind of put it under, we're going to do this one a little bit different. Okay. So what I like to do is just go down one stitch. Yep. Like that. And then just come up the other way. And then down the last one. One last time, I like to do 3 passes for some of these, just like this. And then that's it. All the ends are hidden and should not come out. Okay, now let's put it together. Okay, so for the collar pieces, we're going to be doing half of a granny square. So I just had to figure out how to do it. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to start off the same way with the pink. Okay, so the same as we started off our other granny square, we're going to do our slip stitch, then chain 4. And then join that first chain, going to slip stitch right there. Okay, and then we're going to chain 3. That counts as our first double crochet. Then we're going to do 2 more double crochets. Okay. And on this one, just because I don't want it to kind of buckle, I'm going to do a chain 1. And then we're going to do 3 double crochets. Chain 1. And 3 more double crochets. And that's where we're going to fasten off. Cut that end off. And there's the first part right there. Okay, now we're going to do the second round with the white. I'm going to start off with the slip knot. Just like that. And then I'm actually going to find the top of my first chain 3 right here. And I'm going to slip stitch into that spot. Just like that. Okay. And then here I'm actually going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And that's just going to help us build up our sides. Okay. And now we're to this corner piece right here. Okay. So it's almost just like, well, the corner is actually just like the regular granny square. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Okay. Now for the next one, I'm actually going to put 1 chain in between the corners. Okay. And then I'm going to do the next corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. I'm sorry, 3 double crochet. Okay. So we've taken care of the corner. So now we need to get back over to this other side though. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in that last stitch. Okay. All right, and then from there I'm going to fasten off. Okay. All right, then for the next round, I'm going to start back over on the side. Okay, and it's back to the pink. Start off with the slip knot. We're just going to, in that space, do a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain 3 because we're just doing a double crochet. Okay, and 2 more double crochets. Okay, so this would be considered a side. Okay, and then we're going to go to the corner. Okay, so I want you to chain 1, okay, and then I'm going to do the regular corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Okay, then we're going to chain 1. We're at a side right here, so it's just 3 double crochet. Chain 1, we're back to a corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And we're back to this space right here, so chain 1 and then 3 double crochet in that space. Okay. Then we're just going to fasten off. Okay, and now we're going to go with the green, so we're going to start back over on this side. I'm going to do a slip stitch. We're going to join in the top of that chain 3. Hit the slip stitch. Okay, and then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to do 3 double crochet in the space. Chain 1, and now we're back at a corner. Okay, so 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. I just want to show you how I kind of fasten off the end. So I know that we did slip knots on all of them. Now keep in mind that this is going to be on the back of what is shown, okay, on what you wear. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm actually just going to go through, and because this is smaller yarn, let me see if I can zoom in. Because this is smaller yarn, you're not going to be able to see it much, but I'm going to tie those 2 ends together. Okay, so I'm double knotting them. And just go all the way down. We have an even number. You can definitely weave these ends in. Now we're going to join all the granny squares together. So with the white yarn, I've already tied it to the corner. So we are going to begin by chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to slip stitch right back into that corner. Okay, and then again, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to slip stitch right into the space. And that's what we do around the whole square. On the corner, we're going to do the exact same thing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then slip stitch back in there. So just do this all the way around, and then I'll meet you whenever you get to the end. Now we're to the last part. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're just going to slip stitch right in that corner. And then fasten off. We're going to take our next one, and we're actually going to do 10 in a row. So 10 squares in a row. Okay, so in order to join these, we're going to do the exact same thing, except joining is just going to look a little bit different. Then I'm just going to do this side like I did the first one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a slip stitch. So you're just going to go all the way down. Okay, so once we're on this last one, I'm going to go in and slip stitch in the corner. Okay, and this is where we're going to start joining it to the one we just made. Okay, so here's the other one right here. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, and 2, and the third one, the third chain, I'm actually going to put over here at this corner. If you can see that. Okay, so what I do is I actually slip stitch into this middle chain right here. So just slip stitch it, just like that. And then it's connected. So it's slip stitched in there. So then you finish off with 2 more slip stitches, 1 and 2, and then back to this square. Then we'll slip stitch in here. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing almost with the side pieces. So we're just going to go 1, 2, and then we're going to chain around this one. So if you notice, I'm going in from the back, just going into that space, bringing it through, and then chaining that right there, slip stitch actually. Okay, and then 1, 2 chains, and then back to the original one, we're going to slip stitch into there. Okay, so again, 1, 2, then we're going to find our next chain space right here, and we're going to go around that chain space, 1, 2, and then you'll go back into the space. So if you notice, as you keep doing that, then you get this little edging right here. Okay, so keep doing that until we get to the other corner thing, and we'll do the other corner chain right here, and then we'll do that together. Or in the corner space, we're going to do the exact same thing again. 1, 2, except on the corners, remember, we're going to actually go into the middle stitch. So you can count it, or you can just kind of see where it is, just right here. Just go somewhere right there in the middle, where I stick that hook right there. Bring it through, and then 1, 2, and then slip stitch back into that same corner space. Okay, and so from here we're actually not going to join any more squares to this one, so just go ahead and do the edging all the way around till you get back to this part. Okay, once you do that, then you'll do the same thing just like we did here, but you'll do it for 10 squares. So you should have 10 squares all in a row. Once you do that, then come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, once you get your 10 in a row, then we're going to do 7 on this side. So 7 in a row on this side. Okay, so to do that, you will join this one just like you did the other one. So we're only joining on one side. So I'm going to go in and chain 2. Okay, and then right here in this corner, on the center chain, I'm going to go and slip through that. 2 more. I'm just going to turn this around. Okay, so we're just going to go down just like we did this, all the other ones. And I'll show you how to do the corner. All right, so we're going to this corner right here. All right, so again, we're going to do 2 chains. Okay, and then right here where they're joined together, you'll see that there's like a little space right there. So that's where we're going to insert our hook, is in that little space right there. So let me show you from this end. So going through the back of it, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch through there, 2 more chains, and then I'm back here, slip stitch through that corner. Okay, so go ahead and finish the edging around this one, and then when we get to the next one, I'll come back. Now that we joined this one, let's go to the next one. Okay, so in this one, we will be joining it to 2 sides. Then we're going to join it to the first side. So 1, 2, go to that first corner. Remember to find the corner stitch, or to find the middle stitch. 1, 2, and slip stitch back into that corner. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this side done until I get to the corner. Now that we're back to the corner, okay, 1, 2. So we already have that space right there, as you can see. It's already been made, so we're just going to insert a hook right into that space and then finish off the corner. And so whenever you do that, it kind of gives it that little star look in the middle of it. So we're just going to keep going and joining it now to this side. Now back to this corner. Again, there's that little space right there that you can see. So that's where we're going to insert our hook. And then we'll just finish it off. We're going to continue on. So this side we already have 10 going all the way down that row. And on this side we're only going to do 7, so you should have 3 spaces that look like this. And once you finish this 7 on this side, then we'll come back and I'll show you how to connect those 3. If you want to weave in your ends as you go instead of waiting till the end, we can go ahead and do that. So it's a little bit trickier on this because we were just working with chains. I like to go underneath right there just to get it there. Now it's up to you on how you want to do this. You can go ahead and weave it in through here, but this is the back of the project, and so since it's actually going to be worn, you're not going to really see the back of it. So very carefully I go through the back of these stitches right here, making sure you can't see it in the front, and then I'll put it right here through these stitches. Then I'm just going to pass it one more time through there, going the other way. And then that's all that I do. So I put my 7 next to this right here. Okay, so now we're going to connect it together to where it's actually making half of the shirt. So you want to get the middle part. So it's 5 squares per side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold it right there. Okay. Now the reason why we didn't put these 3 on yet is because we're going to connect them to this 3 right here, but we do not want to connect these right here because that's where our sleeve is going to go. Okay. So we're going to connect 3 of the squares on 3 sides right here. We're actually going to start the connecting right here and then work our way down. So I've already tied on the yarn So you'll just do it the same way you've been doing all of them so far. The only difference is that we're actually going to be joining that last side right there. Now at this corner is where we're actually going to join it to the side, so it's the exact same thing. I'm just making sure that you are going to be joining this to that side. And we're back to the corner. So notice we already did the corner joining. And so we're going to have these two here. Don't worry about that. Just leave them separated for now, because whenever we go back to put the sleeve on, then we'll be able to join those together. So I'm just going to finish this off here in this corner and fasten off. As you can see, now you have an opening for the sleeve to connect those squares. And then this is now joined to the side. So you're going to do the same thing for these two squares, and then I'll meet you back so we can get the sleeve going. Okay, so we're going to be using 4 squares, as you can see, for the sleeve. And same concept, we're just going to join this one together just on this side. As we keep going, then they will join to this square. Okay? All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get this joined on this side, and then I'll come back and show you the next one. So we have 1 square of the sleeve done, and now we're going to put the next one right here. So that means we're going to have to join here and here. Whenever I get to this spot down here, because we have that open, we need to join it together, then I'll get back on. Now I'm to this section right here, which is where we're going to have to join all of this together. So it might be a little bit tricky to kind of see where to go. And this is honestly probably the trickiest part of the whole thing. Here's the corner right here, the one we're working on. And then we have a corner here, and on this side a corner here. So we're actually going to join all of those together. I'm going to take where this corner joins right here to where this corner joins right here, and I'm going to pull through all of that with the slip stitch, and then finish off that corner. Okay, so then once you do that, then you have all of that joined together right here, so that way there's no gaps. Once you do that, then you just need to finish off the rest of the edging of this square, and you're not joining it to anything else. So once you get done with that, I'll meet you with the next one. So now we have half the sleeve done, so we have these two. So I'm just going to turn it around to get the other side done. So this will be our next square right here. Make sure you have it on the correct side. Okay, so on this one, I will have to join here and up here. And then you don't have to join on those ends. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back for the last one. This last square of the sleeve is probably the trickiest one of all, because whenever we get back down here to what will end up being the armpit area, it gets a little tricky down here. So I'm going to go ahead and start in this corner up here. I'm going to join up in here first, join all the way across. Then whenever I get to the edge, there won't be any joining until I get right here. I'll join again, and I'll go across whenever I get down to this area, and I'll come back and show you how to work that. So now we're to this corner. Okay, and so you're going to have to locate the corners of the other squares. So we have a corner here, and then we have a corner back here. We're going to do the same thing we did with the other square for the sleeve. Okay, so chain my 2, and then I'm going to go kind of put those together a little bit so I know where to put my hook. So I'm going to go through this corner here, and then through that corner there. And I'm going to slip stitch through all of those. And finish that off with the chain 2. And then in our square that we're joining, we'll slip stitch that. And then we're going to go ahead and finish joining this last side of this. All right, we're going to finish it off with our last slip stitch, and then we're going to fasten off. We are done with joining together this side. Okay, so there's the sleeve now attached. Okay. Now you're going to do the exact same thing for the other side. So if you notice, we used 10, 24 squares for one side. And then you're going to do the same thing for the other side. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to join them together using 5 more squares. Okay, I can't fit this all on camera at this angle, but these are the 2 ends, so the sleeves are off to the sides over here. Okay. So what we're going to do is to take our remaining squares, so we have 5 left, and we're going to actually use those to join the 2 sides together. Okay, so we'll actually join on this side and on this side, and on this we're just going to do the edging. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So now we have the 2 sides joined together, just like that. And then you're going to do this all the way down the shirt. So you need to do this 4 more times, just like this. So the only difference in the next ones is that you're joining here, here, and here. And then of course the bottom is not being joined to anything until you get to the next one. So go ahead and do this all the way down, and then we'll have that joined together, and then we'll start working on the cuffs, on the sleeves, and on the front for the buttons. Okay, now that we are done putting this together, we need to do the edges of the sleeves right here. I'm actually going to start right here on, this is the corner of the bottom, and I'm just going to go to this next one right here. For every chain 5 space, we're going to do 3 single crochets. And I got to that number because we have 3 double crochets down here for that space. So we're going to do 3 single crochets. You can actually go over the tail. Okay, so I'm just going to do a chain 1 just as a starting spot, and then I'm going to go into my single crochet. So 1, 2, and then 3, still going over my tail. Okay, and so in the next space, you're just going to move over, do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. So you just keep going, and then whenever we get to these corner joins, I'll show you what to do. Once you get to the corner joins, you're only going to do 2 in each one of those, 2 single crochets. So here's 1, 2, and then right here, make sure you're going in between 1 and 2. And then you'll just keep doing the 3 in the other chain 5s. Okay, just like that. So just keep going around until we get back to the first single crochet that we made. And then we're back to the beginning. Okay, so this is our first stitch right here. If you lose it, all you have to do is put a stitch marker in there. So you should have 76 single crochets. So I'm just going to slip stitch right there at the first single crochet, and then I'm just going to do a single crochet right in there. Same stitch. And like I said, if you want to put a stitch marker in right there, you can, just so that way you don't lose your stitch. And then what you're going to do is a single crochet all the way around until you get back to this first stitch right here. Just work your way around, and then I'll meet you back whenever we get to the end of this row. Or to the end of the round, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first stitch of the round, and I'm just going to go right back into there and make another single crochet, and I'm going to do the same thing. It's our last round for this, the edge of the sleeves. Okay, so again, you're just going to do one single crochet in each one of these. Should be a total of 76. Whenever you get back to the end, just slip stitch into that first stitch and fasten off, and then weave in your tail. So now we need to put the edge on each side of this so we can put our buttons in, and we also have to put in the collar. On the original one, it looks like that the edges stop about right here, and then the collar is all the way around here. But from the original one, it looks like they did an entire granny square and put those together, and then they sewed them onto the edge with the sewing machine and then cut off the excess. So we are not doing that. We've already made the squares for our collar. The best way to do it is to go ahead and do an edge here of just single crochets. So starting at the bottom, so I'm going to start at the bottom here, and I'm just going to work just like we did the sleeve, single crochets all the way around, even up around the collar area and all the way down. So that way we can get the collar attached, and then see if that's where, if the collar ends right here, like where this is the top right here, if the collar ends right there, then we can start our edging coming out this way so we can put on the buttons and the buttonholes. So let's go ahead and do the single crochet around that edge. I'm going to start right here at this edge so that we can go all the way around this corner. We'll get 2 single crochets, and of course all of these will get 3 single crochets while I'm back here, and then 2 single crochets and 2 single crochets. So do that all the way around until you get to this other end. To the end, you should have 209 single crochets going all the way around, and I'm just going to fasten off, and then I'm going to weave in that end, and then we'll start working on the collar. We have to put them together just like we joined the other granny squares together. So we're going to go ahead and do that with the white yarn. We're going to start on the edge to start doing our chain stitches. I'm actually going to join, we have this top of this chain right here. I'm going from the back so I can tie on the white. Since we have 3 double crochets right here, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then for our corners, still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put slip stitch back into the corner. We'll just keep doing this till we get all the way around the half granny square. On the next one, we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to start here and go around here and around here. Whenever I get to this corner, I'm going to come back, so we need to join it to the piece that we just did. So we're back to the corner, and I have my other piece right here. So just like we did with everything else, do 1 or 2 chains, and then we're going to join in the middle of this corner here, slip stitch, 2 more chains, and then slip stitch right back into that corner. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with the sides. So 2, slip stitch around, 2 more. We're just going to do that all the way to the end. Look like that. So we're going to do the same thing with the other 2. Put all the collar pieces together. And on these ends that I joined, I'm going to head and double knotted them. Don't do what I did and just tie these off and cut them, because all those ties came out. I tightened them really, really well, and I'm going to crochet over them, but I should have just went in and weaved in those ends. So make sure you do that. Don't do what I did. All right, so what we're going to have to do to make this collar work is we're going to need to put 60 single crochets along this edge, so that way we can sew it or join it onto the actual shirt itself. Okay, so I'm going to start off here on the side using my pink yarn. I'm going to tie that on. So in the spots where we have the clusters, we're going to do 2 single crochets, and then on the one right here on those ones, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in order to get to what we need to get to, which is 60. So I'm going to join it on. All right, so 2 single crochets. Notice I'm just going around that double crochet right there. And then in this spot, we're only going to do 1 single crochet. So then coming to the cluster, we're going to do 2 around the double crochet. Okay, then around this one, it'll just be 1. Okay, whenever we get to this middle part right here, we're going to do 1 around that double crochet, 1 in the middle, and then 1 around this double crochet. And then in this spot here, we're just going to do 1. We're just going to go along that way. So in this one, it'll be 2 double crochets. And I am trying to just crochet over all the ends that I can. Okay, we're going to keep going like that until you're to the end, and then I'll meet you there. Whenever we get to where we join them right here, whenever you get to that spot, I'm just skipping that. I tied it tight enough to where it just kind of doesn't even leave much of a space, so I just skip over that and then just go straight into this next one using the same pattern that I used on this. Okay, so what ends up happening is their collar starts curving like this, but that's good because we need it to do that, and it'll go onto the shirt a lot easier like that. Okay, so let's join it to the shirt, the collar to the shirt, and then we're almost finished with it. So here's our shirt, and then here's our collar. So what I'm going to do is turn the shirt to the back, because we are going to find the center. Okay, and so here's the right side of my collar, and the right side should be facing up. Okay, so here's the center of the collar, and then in the back you'll find this center cluster with this right here, which is the center. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get a stitch marker and put those two together. Okay, so that way we know where the center is. And then, as we go along right here with the shirt and with the collar, we should end up Here's our center square. Here's the top square of our panel. And we should end up this stitch right here. Okay, so here's the center. And so in that stitch. So again, I'm going to mark that. So I'm going to find my last single crochet. And place it with that single crochet. And going on the other side. Same thing. Okay, so here's the center square. Here's the top of the panel. Okay, and then going around, we should end up right here in that join again. So I'm going to find my first single crochet and place it right here in this single crochet. What we're going to do is for each single crochet, you see that they should all match up. We're going to do single crochets all the way down to join those together. And in doing that, it should make sure that collar lays flat like it's supposed to. Instead of tying those together, I'm going to do a slip knot and place that on my hook. So I'm going to take the stitch marker out since I know now where I'm going. So I'm going to go into that single crochet and then this one. And then single crochet those together. So you'll just want to do this all the way down the shirt and the collar. Single crochet. Just like that. Make sure you're grabbing both loops of both of them. And also make sure you're not putting two stitches in the same one. Okay? So go all the way down until you reach the end and then fasten off, and then we'll weave in those ends. Collar is on, so if you notice it is laying flat. I did go back and look at the picture and realize that there is a small edge all around the collar. You could leave it like this if you wanted to. Since I'm trying to make it like the one in the picture, I'm going to do the edging around here. I think I will do 2 rows. So the first row will do exactly like I did the sleeves. Okay, to put the edge around the collar, we're going to have to do a couple of single crochets here before we start putting it on our chains. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the slip knot. Place it on my hook, and I'm going to go right here where they join, do a single crochet, and then if you'll notice right here, there's like a little join area, another single crochet. So that's 2 of them, and then I'm going to start doing them just like I did for the sleeves. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in the corner we're going to do them a little bit differently. So we're going to do 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more single crochet. And if you want to mark that corner chain right there, chain 2, so that way whenever we come back around you know where the corner is, you can. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing that all the way around the collar. Just remember at the corner we're going to single crochet 2, chain 2, single crochet 2. When we get to the last few stitches, I'll come back and join you and finish it up. Now we're down to our last few stitches, so 1, 2, 3, then there's that one space right there, and just do the last 2. Okay, just like that. Okay, so we're going to do one more row of this. So chain 1, and we're just going to turn our work. And I know it's kind of difficult. This thing is very bulky by now. But we're almost done. Okay, so that was our chain 1. So right back into that same space, we're going to do a single crochet. And then all this single crochets, we're just going to do another single crochet until we get to the corner. Okay, so at the corner, we're going to do 1 single crochet, chain 2, and 1 single crochet. So we don't want to make that any bigger. And then just keep going along, doing the same thing in that second corner until you get to the very last single crochet, and then you'll just fasten off at that point. Well, the collar is now all finished. So the last thing we have to do is to get the edges on the front so we can get our buttons on. So I'm actually going to have to start up here at the top for this side. So if you notice right here, okay, so in our last cluster, there's 1, 2, and there's 3 stitches. So that's where our first stitch is going to start for this. Okay, so again, I'm going to do a slip knot to start. Put it on my hook. And we're just doing single crochet all the way down. I'm going to insert my hook and do my first single crochet. And I'm just going to go all the way down until I get to the end. And that's where we're going to chain 1 and turn it. But whenever we get to the end, I'll come back. Okay, we're to our last 2 stitches. Okay, and there's the last one. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. So we're going to go into that last single crochet right here and single crochet, and we're just going to go all the way back to where we started. I got back to the top of this, and by the way, this is 75 stitches. Here are the buttons that I have. So I think I'm going to need, yeah. So I actually think with the size of these buttons, I'm going to need 2 more rows. So I'm going to go back down and then back up. And then that should be enough. So I'll meet you back up here and we'll see if that's enough. In the picture, there are 5 buttons. I only got a package that had 4 of them. And my friend likes sparkly, so we did the sparkly. So we have 4 granny squares in the front. So I'm going to kind of place them strategically in there. What I'm going to do, so I know exactly where they are, I'm going to go ahead and mark them with the stitch marker. For the 4 buttons strategically, I just placed them along as I could, try to even it out as much as I could. So I went 5 stitches in. I put a stitch marker for my first button, and then I skipped 22 stitches. Did my next button, 22 more stitches for my next one, and 22 more stitches for my last, which leaves 5 stitches left over. Now to attach the button, that one has that kind of an end on it. So I'm just going to get some of the pink yarn. And then get my needle. And I'm going to attach it that way so I can tie it off at the back. And then weave in the ends. Okay, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker. Put that through there. Okay, so I'm just going in between, or right in the back of that stitch right there, and pulling that through. And you can kind of try to force it into a little hole in between stitches if you want, but I'm actually going to go through again. The button, I just want to make sure it's really, really secure. And go back around that stitch. And because there's enough room, I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to go back through the button. And then to the back of that panel. Make sure it's very tight. Bring this other side through. Just like that, it's pretty tight. So I'm going to turn it over. And I probably got a little bit too much yarn to do this, but that's okay. And I'm going to get it as tight as I can without breaking the yarn. And I'm actually going to triple knot this one, because I do not want it coming loose or the yarn stretching out. From there, I'm just going to weave in these ends. So I'm going to do that with the next 3 buttons until they are all put on. And then we'll mark the other side for the buttonholes. Now that the buttons are attached, we need to do the other thing on this side, except we'll have to put in buttonholes. We'll do 1 row first, and then we'll come back and we will mark where we need to put the holes for that 3rd row. Okay, so I'm going to do a slip knot. Get that on my hook. And then starting right here, the first single crochet, I'm going to make a single crochet. Okay, and then I'm just going to do single crochet all the way up. There should be 75 of them. And I am going to work over my tail. And then we'll come back and I'll show you where to put the buttonholes and how to do that. So I've marked the stitches where I'm going to make the spaces for the buttonholes. Okay, so from here we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work. So single crochet where we turned. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So to make the buttonhole, you're going to skip this stitch, and just depending on how big your button is, chain either 1 or 2. I'm going to chain 2, so my buttons are a little bit bigger. And then just in the next stitch after the skipped one, I'm going to do a single crochet. And so you'll go single crochets all the way down to our next stitch marker, which is right here, and we're going to do the same thing. We'll chain 2 and skip this stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch. So do that all the way down, and then whenever we come to the end, I'll come back and show you the next row. We're at the end of this row. Then I'm going to chain 1 and I'll turn my work. I'll go back into that stitch right there, single crochet until you get to the button space. Your chain 2. And so where does it chain 2? Right there, we're just going to put 2 single crochet into that chain 2. So the same number of single crochets as we did chains, and then just keep going. Once you reach the end of this row, you're going to again chain 1, turn your work, and then you'll do 1 more row until you get all the way back to here, and then fasten off, and then we are finished. And with that last part, we are all finished. I made sure to take care of all my ends. If at this point, if you want to block this, you can. It's just like the collar here, it just wants to flip up, or this part here. So there's several different ways you can do that. And I don't have any videos on that, but you can find many of them. I like to use my steamer, is my favorite way to do it. And if you make this and you change up the colors, change it up a little bit, if you would show me a picture, I would love to see them and see what you guys come up with. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.